his Enslave through going
Here we
first.
go.
But I could be wrong on that. I feel like the Skellige deck might play a little bit slower in round one. If you don't find that burner.
No, we've got the Skellige. It's Skellige against Monsters. KingChezz against Magpie. Here we go. Blue coin on the bottom. Oh, first thing, best boy. Instantaneous mulligan.
On the side of Chez, you've got that Bomb Heaver in hand, which also goes. He has got the Ethereal, which is great to have in hand as it gives him the option to Caranthia it.
Yeah.
If he finds the Aneromancy, expect to see that in round one to apply some pressure potentially.
Definitely. One of the things I actually like about the mulligan stage in round one, if you notice, the leaders are currently missing. When the player finishes their mulligans, their leader walks out and appears, which is really cool that it's staggered. So we've just seen KingChezz perform his final mulligan, and as a result, it turns up. Now, same for Magpie. That is a really cool little touch there. I love that.
Magpie has got the Bomb Heaver in hand. Chez does not have access to his scenario, but expect to see that Bomb Heaver in the hand of Magpie for a long time.
Okay, and we get the discard there, which is pretty nice. Straight in for the Morkvarg. Not terrible as an opening play. Nice bit of thinning and gaining value as well.
Now, if you're Magpie, you're just probably a little bit worried with this hand at what your next tempo play is. So having access to that 9-point play to start off with is going to help lighten the load on him, on making sure he doesn't have to commit loads of points maybe in the rest of his cards, because certainly this SK deck does look a little bit awkward. Of course, you've got the second wind opportunity with your Draco Turtle, and you've also got Sigdriffer in this deck. What that means is he can commit potentially his Draco Turtle in round one, and then Sigdriffer's right it back in round two, and then second wind it back in round three if he really wants to. So that Sigdriffer's right gives him a little bit of flexibility.
Interesting from Chez there, not waiting for the Caranthir and deciding, you know what, I'm going to get my Ethereal out, I'm going to plough some pressure on you straight away, and the Ethereal just comes down here, which means we're more likely to see the Caranthir's only other real target is either a Beast or Detlaf. Potentially more likely that we're going to see it get mulliganed here if Caranthir turns up later in the game.
Yeah, and obviously committing the Ethereal without the Caranthir is less than ideal for KingChezz, because it means he doesn't have this later on in the game. So Magpie is going to be pretty happy that the Ethereal is down in some ways without the Caranthir, but equally he's going to be quite scared of the tempo that KingChezz has potentially.
Very much so. And now we're playing some speed Gwent here, both of them slamming. And a defender straight down with the Covenant of Steel, as you rightly pointed out, Sigdriffer's right or even Second Wind can bring this back if they choose to. A straight response with the leader to keep the Ethereal going, and Indraga Lavas being slammed on the other row by KingChezz. I get the feeling that these boys are going to keep us on our toes.
Yeah, the defender here in this matchup not actually doing much. The only real interactivity that Chez has is a Igni, which of course doesn't care about a defender anyway. So really just playing this defender for 7 points, and I suppose it gives him an option with Sigdriffer's right if he has a dead graveyard next round for at least 7 points if he gets bled. Don't really expect to see the defender doing too much in this matchup, so it's a bit of a throwaway. Definitely. Obviously the Draco Turtle coming in behind it. Doggo coming out as well for that extra tempo, which might just carry him through this round one. That could be really important.
It could be massive, and it came out with... It was only a 30% chance of it being drawn at that point as well, so clearly luck on the side of Magpie so far.
And really Nickers there, just really showing maybe why it's in his deck. It makes him more confident taking his deck in round one for that little bit of extra tempo. Playing very similar to a Roachwood, but for one provision less.
Yeah, it's always a nice card to have just jumping out of the deck, especially now we know roughly when or how the card does work. Initially it was just random raid, but it's 10% chance for every card that it will stay in deck. So at the moment there are 7 cards. As a result, 70% of the time it stays in, 30% it would have come out. You know, the longer into the round you go, the higher chance you have of getting Nickers out.
Magpie has 2 ways of proccing this Draco Turtle in his deck. One way is Iris' Shade, which buffs, and he does take the pass, which
yeah, it makes sense.
It's a very nice pass for him. But Iris' Shade is one way, which he's going to want to try and save for round 3, because Iris also then buffs herself by the amount of armor removed. The other way he has is a Sappers, which is a 5 strength, 5 provision neutral card, which just removes the armor. Draco Turtle would buff itself by the armor removed, but obviously the Sappers doesn't buff itself like Iris does, and with no access to that Sappers and no way of replaying Iris in round 2 or 3, once she's committed, that's all her use. he elects to pass without proccing the armor off the Draco Turtle there.
Yeah, I mean, the other option, not ideal, but you can actually hit your own Draco Turtle with a stunning blow and remove 7 armor from it. It's not ideal, but there's a reason that that card can target your own units, and I genuinely believe it is for that interaction. Worst case scenario, you can play it on yourself for +7 on the Draco Turtle. Not ideal, but I have seen it done before. And there is the Sappers jumping into hand.
No sign of Sigdriffer's Right, which is one of his ways of replaying his Draco Turtle. The other way, of course, being from his second win leader ability. But Burner Bran is going to be drawing 2 cards and discarding 2 cards. And it's a really important card to draw if you're Magpie, because it's going to thin your deck nice and early and hopefully allow your mulligans to be a lot cleaner and find the cards you're looking for.
Definitely. Especially, I mean, you can draw into the another Hame Scald as well with the Burner if you really want to further thin. The fact that the discard options, he's got the Skirmisher in hand as well, which is a great option to allow Burner to have even more tempo.
Yeah, he could even elect to discard the Sappers if KingChezz does make a pass here. Obviously, without KingChezz's Ethereal anymore, his long round is severely dampened. KingChezz could float out the idea of committing Haunt, and he does.
And he does,
Just seeing if Magpie has the answer. If Magpie wasn't to have the answer, KingChezz could then push into this round for a bit longer. But it is, of course, just going to get answered.
Straight catch. That is the 3rd Haunt, unfortunately, that just has not survived in this tournament that we've seen. And as you say, it's a good time for KingChezz to float it because it makes the decision for him. How far am I pushing here? He can still go another card for free, potentially if he slams the Eigen down for the carryover value, or maybe he is looking to commit a little bit further and bleed here.
There's a really interesting interaction we could see at the start of the next round, which is Ozreal eating the Draco Turtle from Magpie's graveyard, which would obviously deny the res, which that could be something KingChezz is thinking of, and he might not even decide to commit his Zigern for that reason.
That's very true, and I have seen people, the proactive consumption with the Aussie is something we saw a lot last season. When you're playing against Skellige, destroying the Wild Boar, it is a consideration when you're playing something like Second Wind. Because of the amount of graveyard access they have, you would look at it and think, well, actually, what do I want to take? And as you say, Draco Turtle right now is clearly the main theme, the main sort of point grab in this list for Magpie. So there is an argument there that you could just do that.
Yeah, so this is a big moment for KingChezz. Is he going to elect to pass, or is he going to play? This could be quite a tempting time for him to drop that Ozreal and consume the Draco Turtle. Maybe he could have even committed to doing it in the last turn, but the option is still there for him. That if you're removing that card from Magpie's deck, if you look at his hand, he's not got much power in that hand, to be completely honest with you. The Draco Turtle.
That would be quite brutal if that does happen. And if KingChezz chooses to push here by doing that, he could potentially 2-0 with this hand. As you say, there is not a lot going on in that hand that is going to bring value here in this round. And he does choose to continue, but with the Beast.
And Magpie's in a bit of an interesting spot here. With no access to Sigdriffer's Right, is he going to commit his leader ability to protect his Draco Turtle in the graveyard? Decides not to.
No, it takes the instant smash on the Beast. I think that's probably the right call. Even though it wasn't going to grow this turn, there's always the risk that the Beast becomes unanswerable, and you just can't leave that engine there. Does still allow KingChezz a pass, though.
And this Zigern's quite sketchy in this matchup. Obviously, stunning blows, eating through that armor very comfortably, and he could elect to eat it, but of course, Morkvarg in the hand of Magpie to punish anything going super tall.
Definitely. So it looks like at the moment, while Magpie's hand overall for the whole matchup might not be amazing, he does have answers to some of the bigger plays that KingChezz can play. He would have to consume, and as you say, the instant Morkvarg would come down and answer from the Desert Banshee consume there. So it's risky. KingChezz will be making all of those calculations. How much is this push worth it? I think it's more likely we see something like a Goliath than and oh no, he does take it. It's the skill check.
He decides not to eat. This could be a stunning blow or a Sapper, but he eats. He goes for the eat.
Oh, that's a good point actually. Sappers would have been great value there.
Yeah. So he elects not to take the Morkvarg, but put down the Terror Seas. Now, if you wouldn't mind hovering over this card, because this is one I'm sure most of us haven't seen, the more armor it's got, the more damage it does. If you play a pirate, it gains 1 armor. The only pirate, I believe, in the hand of Magpie being Morkvarg, but you can give this card armor with the boat builders and allows you to do some damage off of armor. Also, the wagon is in Magpie's list, which can give more armor. Obviously, the ideal target for the armor is the Draco Turtle, but this is a nice backup option.
Definitely. And this isn't you don't see the Terror of the Seas very often. That is very true. And and KingChezz gets out here. KingChezz has decided to get out here. So now it's a case of how do you catch up? You need 12 points immediately. I suppose the Morkvarg is the easy answer to that, but are you willing to do it? I'm just going to update our title here. It is Magpie131 versus KingChezz.
Yeah, the Morkvarg here gives you the option on the second wind as well. As long as he's drawn into that secret, that's right.
Yeah.
He's most likely got that option off the leader. He can Sig Drifters right the Draco Turtle and then use the Morkvarg. Does have now last day Osriel, KingChezz has that option. We could still go for the earlier option, and the Igni draw for KingChezz is huge as well here.
That is massive for KingChezz to draw into that. His hand's looking pretty nice here. He's missed a Neuromancy the entire way through and also missed his Detlef so far. He will be mulliganing hard looking for those cards, I would say. And again, that's actually a wagon at the moment. You guys are, there you go, it's just updated. There's only one discard option here for the Heime Skald, but of course second wind giving a decent option of getting that Draco Turtle back still. So do we see from KingChezz the instant Osriel to consume it?
It's definitely an option, and obviously Magpie here really cursing that he's not managed to find this Sig Drifters right, as that would have given him a real nice option.
Yeah, and he does take it straight away. Magpie concerned that that is something that could happen. Does not want that risk at all, so he goes straight in. I mean, we're expecting a boat builders here potentially to come out. Also a pirate, interestingly. The pirate there, and it's the wagon instead. The more armor the Draco Turtle can get, the more value Iris is going to give. The risk, of course, being playing into Igni with it in hand. It would be very unlikely that KingChezz doesn't get a decent Igni here.
Yeah, sure. The other thing just to consider is Magpie is going to make sure he plays Iris into the opposite row as the Draco Turtle, because they will come down at the same power and line up for a beautiful Igni, but he is, of course, not going to put them in the same row. He's not going to make that mistake.
You would certainly assume not. That would be quite the mistake. Very unlikely that we see that, but it has been done before. Now, there's still a chance here that the Skald ends up drawing either the Lambert or the Right here. And it doesn't. It takes the Skirmisher its additional points, but it is not what he would have been looking for. It's probably it could be worse, most definitely, because really the Sappers wouldn't have gained any value here, I would say, other than removing armour off an Endrega Lava. But so far, this is going to be quite a tight game.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Looking forward to seeing, obviously, the Iris. But I think with the Igni and the Osriel, it's probably favouring KingChezz, but it's definitely going to be a close one.
Yeah, completely agree. The hand state for KingChezz, he still has 2 Thrive units on board, and every card except for Igni is going to trigger those if played in the right order for the rest of this round. So it's going to be an uphill battle here for Magpie to survive this, I think. I mean, what's his Freya target right now? What are we expecting him to bring back? The Skald again? Or maybe he just goes for the Invader? For just the 7 points of Slam?
I think the Invader's probably his best option at this point. Nothing is going to be removed from his side of the board, so he won't have access to like a boat build or anything like that. And I don't think the Sig Drifters right is too valuable for him, because he had to invest his leader ability to find that Draco Turtle to prevent the Osriel obviously eating it. So I think in an ideal situation, Magpie would have used Sig Drifter for the Draco Turtle and then maybe called in the Morkvarg off of his second wind. He doesn't have that luxury though, and I'm sure he's not too happy about that.
No, definitely not. And it does look at the moment like this is going to be favouring KingChezz overall. You're going to get nothing at all except for 6 points out of the Grimace, really. The Purify not helping him. As we say, the Freya coming down for a flat 7 here. And while there are so many points in the Iris and the Draco Turtle, Igni answers 50% of those points really quickly here.
Yeah, and I mean, I think just the Grimace and the Priestess of Freya probably letting Magpie down here, not delivering as much value. Whereas if you look at KingChezz's hand, he's got the Noon Wraith, which is proccing double Thrive, and also the Goliath, the Osriel, and the Igni, all finding impressive value.
Yeah, definitely. And there's not even a way to deal with the Goliath here to try and pull out some value yourself and grab the Lambert for the 6. It's not looking great here if you're Magpie. He's effectively going on the hope. Please do not have Igni here, because Igni is the lose condition. You'll notice that he's going to end up... He'll play into Igni no matter what he does, even if he had to Aneromancy it when he triggers the Iris. And he does, as we've decided, goes for the Invader there. Makes sense. There's a lot of armour currently sat there, but it's going to be... I don't think it's going to be enough here.
Yeah, so KingChezz will take the Ozreal first. Of course, he knows almost certainly what Magpie's last card is, and he's already massively far down. We're about to see an amazing amount of swing.
Yeah, this is going to be, what's this, plus 47 points here? But the Igni playing for 28 is going to be enough here, I believe.
Jeez, that was really close. That is pretty unbelievable, to be honest, how close that was.
And unfortunately, he has the answer. It's closer than it looks, takes it by 3, but the swing was always going to be brutal there, unfortunately. And that's the first game going to KingChezz. That means Monsters is out. Magpie still having the option of his SK or his Enslave list. And KingChezz is now limited. He only has 1 deck list remaining to get through.
I love seeing that emote, and it's brilliant in the spectator client. We're able to see that as well. It's the first
really
one we have seen. I was starting to think that maybe we didn't get to see emotes, but it just seems like we've had some well-managed players.
Yeah, it just turns out everyone else has not been BMing.
KingChezz breaking that, and I rate it, man. Magpie, I feel like if he found that Sigdrift right, the fact it came down to 2 points, I feel like that would have made quite a big difference. Yeah. Rather than using his leader ability, turn one rather, he would have been able to answer that Ozreal with his Mortbug before the Igni came down. So it really would have made a massive difference. So I think KingChezz benefiting from the fact Magpie missed one of his most important cards. If you just imagine that played out differently, it gives Magpie, as I say, the option to Sigdrift as right, his Draco Turtle, and then when there's just 2 cards left in the hand of KingChezz, the Igni and the Ozreal, KingChezz has to take the Ozreal, which means the leader ability on the Mortbug would be able to answer the Ozreal and would have played for a lot more points in the end. So I think Magpie's got to feel pretty hard done by in that one.
Definitely, and it all comes down to his round 1 draws, the lack of access. But played very well by Chezz, the push to take out certain cards, he did that really well. He timed his pass nicely. And we are now going into Nilfgaard v Nilfgaard. It is Enslave against Strategic Withdrawal here. This is going to be interesting. Now, I'm just double-checking the lists. So the Strategic Withdrawal list does run Masquerade Ball here. And for Magpie, he doesn't have the Bomb Heaver, though.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have the answer.
So both decks here are going down the Devotion route, which means there's no artifact removal. But the key difference, as you mentioned, is Magpie does not have Ball, whereas KingChezz does have that Masquerade Ball. Of course, though, the Enslaved 6 could be very, very scary for KingChezz to deal with.
And as you can see, as we hover over, it is in fact Enslave 6. The Observer client should be working, guys, so you should also be able to see that. I'm not sure if it tells you it's Enslave 6 in the Observer, but just in case, it is 12 tactics available here to Magpie. A lot of work going to be done here by this Hefty Helg. In a mirror, the Hefty Helg can always be a bit of a problem because Tawny Joust exists. And opening with a Bravens here to steal that and switch off your opponents, that's always a really nice play. It's an instantaneous engine switch off and engine steal.
Yeah, superb play there by Magpie. Also getting the extra benefit of the 6-point body from reference as well, which is really nice to have. Applying the pressure. When you're going second, really important to just apply some pressure, try and make some tempo plays, as that's going to force KingChezz to maybe commit some more gold cards than he was hoping to in this round 1.
Definitely, and KingChezz will be acutely aware that he doesn't want to lose on even here. Magpie's ability to push would be very brutal from that situation, so the engine already switched off. Looking at his hand, he's more likely to have to commit the Ramon here than he would like to. Also having another Magna Division in hand, not ideal here if you are KingChezz, unless you throw it on the front row and wait to flip the lamp.
It's not unheard of for Enslaved to commit leader round 1 either. It's not unheard of. We have seen it happen before. Normally, when there's a option of renaming your leading ability, the option is Magpie.
Very true. Your mic is breaking up just a little bit, bud. I'm not sure why.
I'll try to leave the call and rejoin.
Yeah, just jump back in again. So Speci will jump back in very shortly, guys. Just resetting that. Here we go. Okay, so position now, and there is the Ramon as expected. So you're back in, fella. I can't hear you though yet, and I can't see you either. Just,
hopefully you can hear me now.
Camera's much better. No, sorry, mic's much better, but just need your camera back up. Obviously, we can't see it right now, but just whenever you're ready.
Got ya. Top man.
Excellent. So the Helg has come down here. The Ramon from KingChezz, as we just discussed, he's going to need to play that kind of card to get out of the round. But Hefty Helg, the carrier of rounds, looks like it is going to be doing some work here on the side of Magpie. Very willing to commit those cards here.
Yeah, no Tourney Joust in KingChezz's hand. He does actually have access to Tourney Joust in his deck, but he's only running one of them, and he's not managed to draw that Tourney Joust.
It does steal the engine, though, while it doesn't trade over as an engine, because obviously the row is full. Nice to switch it off. Of course, there's a chance that Magpie simply enslaves it straight back. Would be an interesting choice, but there is the option there.
So the Menno here on an even bigger amnesty, and of course the 4 damage of Hefty Helg as well, preventing Chezz from passing, and this is a scary position for Chezz to be in. No engines on his side of the board. He's 2 points behind. He's already committed his stratagem. Whereas on the side of Magpie, you've got the Hefty Helg that assimilate from Braithens, and every time he plays a soldier, he's also going to get 1 ping from that crossbowman. A huge amnesty play, showing the power of the going second amnesty.
And here comes, and are we going to take out the crossbowman? No, we're going to take out the Helg. I'm a little surprised we didn't see that counter the second the Helg dropped, if I'm honest, when there wasn't a joust in hand. Perhaps he was hoping he could power out with Ramon and deal with that, but the steal using the amnesty was very nice there from Magpie, turning that around. Yeah, of course, sorry, yeah, Chezz is on blue, so we're going to switch, as I should have switched at the beginning of the game. So when we switch back in here, we're going to switch perspectives, ladies and gents. Nice reminder there, Josh. Boop, yeah, there we go.
Chat coming in clutch, I didn't realise either.
Doing a good job, yeah. So blue coin, we like to keep on the bottom here. You can see from the colours over here whether they are red or blue. And generally speaking, we're trying to keep the perspective of the blue coin player at the bottom of the screen. So thank you for that reminder there. Appreciate it.
That is something as well CDPR have said is just going to be an automatic thing with the Observer when it actually comes out.
Yeah.
They're always going to have the blue coin automatically placed to the bottom.
For now, we have to be very careful which button we hit, as one of them switches perspective and one very close to it refreshes the entire client, potentially kicking everyone out. So yes, there's a big "don't press the red button" tag on my keyboard right now.
Yeah, I'm glad the pressure's not in my hands, and that's on you. To be honest. I've got big fat fingers, mate, that I'd misclick.
Now, did he just discard a card there? No.
It was the Yennefer, but I'm not sure what it took, honestly.
It looks like he's yenned for... Let's look through to the deck here. Oh, so he's got double Brathens, potentially. Now, so he took the Brathens from Magpie's side here, and now we're going to see the Ramon committed on the other side from Magpie, going in, and of course gaining 2 pings on the crossbowman as well, because soldiers both coming out. That's an additional set of tempo there on the Ramon, and another potential engine to deal with spies. Fergus really scary here with the amount of value it can give the Imperial Enforcers.
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely looking pretty strong for Magpie. And I think, honestly, the Yennefer on the Brathens is sort of indicating that Chezz is accepting he's going to lose this round, but at least taking that Yennefer for not much tempo is at least going to give him some power in future rounds. Even if he's down a card, he's got double Brathens, which is obviously one of the best cards in either player's deck.
Definitely, that could be a huge swing. And the interesting choice for Magpie, does he ever commit the Fergus here, knowing how risky it is with both of them running the Usurper Emperor to potentially lose a lot of those additional operatives? And Chezz does take the choice to accept a loss on even here, doesn't want to commit any further in because he feels he's going to effectively just cost himself and he has a better chance of resisting the bleed in a longer round.
So obviously a couple of tactics been drawn so far by Magpie, lots of tactics. He has not played, I don't believe, his single Vendel Elite yet, which could play for an awful lot of points in this hand. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the Vendel Elite is still in his deck. Vendel Elite is a 5 provision card that buffs up by the amount of tactics cards, and it can play for some incredible value for just 5 provisions. But he really does not have access to it just yet.
No, he hasn't managed to draw it yet, and as you say, it's one of those cards, double-edged sword. It trades very highly with a handful of tactics, but it also allows your opponent to know a little bit about your hand in a way that they wouldn't normally get an insight into. So, interesting to see there. I'm sure Magpie would much rather have had it, certainly in round 1 as an early point slam, but he's got to be happy with the situation that he's in right now. He is comfortably able to bleed on even. He has got the amnesty to instantaneously slam to take that crossbowman as well, which is really going to hurt for Chez here.
That is just too tempting to say no to, right?
Yeah, you just don't say no to that. And the second one is going to come down, I would imagine now from Chez. He knows that there are no more amnesties, so he likely removes those enforcers.
We go where the Empire has not yet reached.
Makes sense. So far, so good. But Chez ideally is going to be looking to get ahead here and stay ahead so that he can resist this bleed.
And that is Magpie's first opportunity to pass while gaining card advantage for the final round. Chez passed on 5 cards, which meant that they both had 8 cards in their hands to start off with. And if you pass at 8, you're both going to draw to 10 anyway. Magpie playing a couple of cards and then eventually finding that passing opportunity. So he still fancies the long round with that card advantage and double last say, and he finds that Vendel Elite, which should play for so many points.
It will indeed.
Play.
How many of these tactics does he keep, is the question.
Then again, he is playing against Masquerade Ball, so it's probably just going to get poisoned anyway, so he might just select a mulligan it.
True, very true. And Masquerade Ball is in hand here, and there is no active counter to it. So it's interesting there's a choice to choose to go down this route. I'm seeing no Usurper Emperor in either hand here. But I am seeing Roderick in both. There is no guarantee on the side of KingChezz. There are 3 golds left. And the same situation, there are actually 4 golds left for Magpie. So neither of them being able to guarantee access to their Usurper Emperor.
Yeah, less than ideal for sure. And of course, not playing Imperial Formation, they don't have that option either to put one of those soldiers on top of their deck and then pull it out with Joachim. I can see Magpie's obviously using the Joachim, but still doesn't have that option.
No, he's just got to high roll and hope that he draws it, which is very, very risky indeed. I think Magpie is in a good situation here, especially if he does manage to high roll that Usurper, because he's going to be pretty strong. It's just, can he resist the value that the Masquerade Ball gives?
Yeah, Masquerade Ball in the hand of Chez, but Magpie, of course, having an extra card and double last say can be very, very important as well.
Thankfully for him, Masquerade Ball is going to be procced in a single turn because he has to Roderick, and the 2 targets he's likely to have to take are both aristocrats. While you'd love the Brathens, what you're actually saying if you take it is you're not going to get through your Masquerade Ball if you're KingChezz, because he doesn't have another aristocrat.
Yeah, I mean, there is the argument he could potentially use bribery to try and find one, but that would be very, very risky indeed.
It would be very risky indeed. Very risky. Optional, you can certainly do it, but yeah, I think ultimately he'll be searching for the Emperor. I think that's pretty much a given here, that if he can find the Emperor from that, he will be very happy, and it will trigger his entire ball.
Vendel playing for 7 points for 5 provisions, definitely not too shabby, but you can see them being much bigger than that for sure. Again, though, against a Masquerade Ball deck with no answer, it doesn't really matter how tall it's going to be because it's going to get poisoned.
You're going to see that answered pretty quickly. No Purify options in the hand of Magpie at all, so no point in trying to do much about that. You just play it out, you get the value, and if it takes the poison, then you just have to accept that at this stage. If the removal's going on that, it's potentially not going on your engines like your Imperial Enforcers. You're going to get some value out of that with these 3 cards particularly. So it's definitely worth considering. And here goes the ball from KingChezz.
Not sure how Magpie's going to respond to this. Well, actually, it's probably just a tourney joust, right? It seems like a clear option in the end. He would eventually like to get this Enforcer down, but I guess he's not in a real rush with the assassination. He can constantly answer those engines. No surprise to see the poison coming down here.
Yeah, makes sense. And I think he'll try and hold on, knowing that the Masquerade Ball can't be answered here by any card in Magpie's deck. He is in a position where he would much rather wait before he chooses to use the Roderick, because it has to single cycle through, and he would rather hold on to gain some of that value later on to see what he can do. If he can get the removal here by, for instance, just dropping Fangs on this, it really isn't the end of the world for him.
I think Magpie's decision to go for the assassination there as well is just, if he puts his Enforcer down now, it gets poisoned and cleaned up pretty quickly. Whereas if he stays unitless, you know, he's not really giving any good further poison options.
Yeah, very much so. And you can see the logic there. It definitely makes sense to go down that route, be as uninteractive as you can. And again, playing for lower value, that's a card that will gain value based on the cards remaining in Magpie's hand, but is just a flat 4, not your ideal poison target, and maybe something that KingChezz decides not to go through here. Perhaps he ends up with the bribery now?
Yeah, the briberies are going to be pretty important in deciding this matchup, I fear. The Usurper onto bribery would play for an awful lot of points for either player, and they've both got
really
access.
Would.
Chezz, really, his bribery should be quite a bit more likely to hit those good cards because, of course, of the amount of tactics cards that are in.
He does draw the
Magpie's
Usurper
deck.
here. So he can take the Usurper now, he can double cycle through his Masquerade Ball, poisoning that as soon as the Usurper drops. Here's the risk. When he pulls those units back, and he has to be really careful about when he pulls them back, Fergus is in Magpie's hand, and if he Ferguses those targets when they come back, they're going to jump straight back to Magpie's side of the board.
And with no Fergus for KingChezz, it could be quite hairy, but you never know. He could just go ahead and create a Fergus of his own with the bribery.
Very true, very true.
Very interesting to see how this one plays out. Of course, the double last save for Magpie will give him the intel, just knowing what he needs to play around, whereas KingChezz has to make more of a guessing game.
He does, but Magpie misses. Magpie does not draw his Usurper at all. He's played now, so unless he high rolls it off Joachim, he's not going to get it himself here. He will be very disappointed with that, I would say.
Yeah, Magpie again just seeming to miss the cards he's looking for.
Yeah. Does get the spy though, it's a nice amount of value there, but in spite of being in what should be a really nice position, he's managed to miss the Usurper, so unless... Actually, no, he hasn't. Joachim is a guaranteed Usurper Emperor. Because it's the only... Wow. Oh, okay.
That's a nice catch.
I've literally, as I've just checked, it is the only card left. That is actually really nice here.
So the inclusion of the spies is really, really interesting because it cannot pull... Joachim can only pull loyal units, and the only unit that is loyal, i.e. not a spy, is the Usurper.
It is, and this is going to be interesting here. What does he choose to take? He's replaying the spy, and he's taking another Brathens here. I think between the Fergus and the guaranteed super-sized Emperor, this could be a massive swing here. And it is indeed in Slave 6, apologies, I'm not sure if the Observer client is telling you that, but in Slave 6 for Magpie. So he's got a decent steal as well. You'd expect to see one of those Brathens going over pretty quickly, I would imagine.
Yeah, the Brathens as well in the back row at 5 is going to go up to 6 after the bribery play as well, so he should get full value off it if he just manages to hold on.
And here it comes. You've got to assume it's going on to those operatives. That's going to be really painful. They are all going to disappear, and that's the bribery. What do you choose here? Yeah,
the Roderick guarantees Fergus, I believe, but he could also high roll the Joachim to try and find the same card for a few extra points.
Makes sense. Unfortunately, because he's already played his Usurper and his leader here, the Roderick for the Fergus is literally going to play for a 7+ engine if there are any dames left, which I don't think there are. So he goes for the high roll on the Joachim.
Doesn't find what he's looking for.
He doesn't.
Should go for the bleed here for the extra point.
Yeah,
or, in fact, 2 points. He will get the 2 bleeds through. And a big advantage for KingChezz that looks to be a ton, but
it does. I actually think this does switch. I think by the time you take the Brathens first, this is going to be brutal.
The double last save for Magpie and the guaranteed hit of the usurper off his Joachim
And here
onto
it
the
comes.
usurper.
This is going to be absolutely stunning here. He plays this on the front row to make sure he doesn't brick it, and he pulls all 4 of them back. That is an absolutely incredible play. He manages to get a Brathens as well. It does not matter what he picks here, because that is the game. That's phenomenal. What a swing there. That might be my play so far. It's one I was hoping we'd get to see in a Nilfgaard mirror, and he pulls that off so well. So well.
In the series, going to another game 3. Seems like it's the lucky stream today, man. Every game.
Everyone, man. Everyone. I'm going to update the scores now. It is Magpie 1.
2 seconds, bud, as well.
KingChezz 1. That's fine, bud. KingChezz 1, ladies and gents. That is the current score. So far, so good. That was a phenomenal turnaround. Now, I am going to push us back onto dual chat quickly. Speci's just disappeared. We are going in for Game 3 very shortly. Game 3 puts us KingChezz against Magpie, so you're going to see strategic withdrawal here against the Iris Draco Turtle play. Honestly, that is one that you want to clip, ladies and gents. That is going into the package for sure here. And I'm going to click accept. Speci will be back very shortly. But yeah, that was what, a 55-point swing. Pretty incredible, all things considered. What a swing that was. And we're going straight into the game. They are not messing around here, ladies and gents. They are not messing around. And we have now got Magpie is going to be on blue coin, I believe. So do I need to switch us back, or is Magpie at the bottom? He is. Superb. So we are from the perspective of the blue coin player, guys. And we are seeing... This is going to be interesting. Can Iris Draco Turtle get through against strategic withdrawal? That was not a boring mirror. Vcrom, I agree. That was one of the most enjoying mirror style. I know it's mirror by faction, not ability, that I've seen. And it's the intelligent use of the Fergus into Usurper there. The biggest thing was for Magpie, that push to win on even really helped him there.
My apologies, but I'm very excited to see this final game, man, with the Draco Turtle against the ball. Should be an interesting one for sure.
It should be. I mean, I'd say based on if I were choosing which one I would rather be, I would much rather be KingChezz right now, not only because he is on the good coin, but everything that Magpie wants to do just is answerable by poison, plays into poison, and Chezz's hand is looking particularly nice as an opening hand when you're looking. You've already got Usurper as a guarantee, you've got Masquerade Ball, and you haven't got to worry about that interaction that destroyed you with the 50-point swing last time.
I mean, the great news for Magpie is he has the Heaver. Interesting use of the Sappers there as well to remove the armor, playing for a decent amount of value. But this Magpie deck really needs to try and find its Draco Turtle in round 1. It does have the option of the Defender, which is going to be much more useful in this matchup compared to the previous one. But a lack of the Draco Turtle is going to be really tough for Magpie, and he doesn't have a way of tutoring that in his deck either.
That is going to be painful for him. I'd expect to see the burner come out here early. Instant slap down, getting rid of that engine, also denying the crossbowman value engine-wise as well. We do see no Ramon in hand, but he's got both of the enforcers. More than happy to play one out to threaten the risk of the spies here. And Fergus is more valuable as a round 1 card here, because you can simply gain with that down. Very powerful choice.
A very, very risky burner there, because but don't forget, he's still got the Doggo in his deck.
Yeah.
He does manage to miss it, but he's still not finding that Draco Turtle that I imagine he is craving.
Yeah, that is very, very risky there. And he's chose, obviously he had the one skirmisher he could get rid of, and he's got rid of the other stunning blow, feels that won't be necessary here. He knows he's not playing around. I don't believe things like the Fionn in this list. No, so he's more than happy to mulligan those. As you say, very risky that he could have drawn into the Knickers there.
And Knickers could still come out at any time. You'd imagine Magpie.
Yeah, there it is. 50-50 on the Knickers, and Knickers turns up exactly on the 50-50 chance, adding a nice position for Magpie. It's a decent amount of reach. You'd need 19 points if you were Chez in the 2 cards now to get ahead.
I think this round's gone pretty well for Magpie. I don't think he can be too displeased with how it's gone. His second win leader ability not really doing much for him in future rounds as of yet, but he has got some options to re-enable it. He could obviously call in a Burner Brand to look for the cards he's looking for, but the Defender could also be a half-decent option, but of course Vincent is a pretty good answer to that anyway.
Very much so. The Vincent is always a risk, always something you're playing into. That can be really, really dangerous. We know that it's not in hand right now. Obviously, Magpie doesn't, but ideally, you would almost want to push that. Instead, we are going to see the Menno coming out here, an Amnesty to steal the Knickers.
Yep, no real reason to take the Knickers over the Skirmisher, but, you know, why not, right?
I guess you're getting the armour. That's about the only call.
And I think it's just KingChezz to sort of, you know, we've seen the BM in round 1. It's maybe just a little bit of, why not, right? I know I do the same thing.
Nothing wrong with a bit of character in your players. It makes it all the more interesting, for sure. And we've just seen the Lambert dropped. He's pretty content here that Lambert isn't really going to find more than 8 points of value, because a lot of the cards that you're going to see multiples of are going to end up covered in armour anyway. So he just drops a card here that he's comfortable committing, knowing that realistically he's not overly fussed committing that card.
And Chez still committing to this round, despite being 12 points down at this stage. Obviously, he's got the 1 charge on the Enforcer, and the double Enforcers does mean a card like Fergus is going to play for an awful lot of points.
Yeah, it really will.
Magpie could elect to take the pass here, but he puts down his Defender. That's also going to be another option on his Sigdriffer's right if he draws into that next round, meaning that won't be particularly bricked. So
no, that's very true. Yeah, it makes sense to play. I think the importance of choosing how long the bleed goes in matchups at this level is very important. Neither one of them are going to want to commit to lose this, but this is a lot of points here, because that enables an additional, what's that, 6+, that's a lot of points. 13 points there from that Fergus.
It's also, from Magpie's point of view, a brilliant card, though, to get out of KingChezz, because that is his main way, apart from the Masquerade Ball, of dealing with that Draco Turtle and Iris, being able to turn Draco Turtle into a spy and then kill it with Vincent. He no longer has that option, and we know Masquerade Ball's not going to go through because of the Heaver, so I'm pretty sure if you're Magpie, you're pretty happy to see that Fergus come down.
You're very happy, and now he's dropped the Morkvarg as well, knowing that ultimately it's another potential option for him with Second Wind, as if he chooses the Covenant of Steel, he can always Sigdriffer's right that back if he chooses to, I believe. So now he's got to...
This advantage of these evolving cards is this Usurper in round 3. I believe it would be enough, but in round 1 it's just going to spawn 1 of those spies playing for 9 points off the 2 things on the Enforcers, so it's going to get an 11-point play and would not be enough to get him ahead. So pretty heads-up play by Magpie, knowing that there's probably no cards in KingChezz's deck that are going to make it. Apparently my mic's standing dodgy.
You have just disappeared on me again. Yeah, you've fallen down a well. If you want to jump in and out again, my friend, hopefully we will rescue you from that well. And while we wait, KingChezz is trying to make the decision here, and I'm pretty sure what you were saying, and I completely agree. The issue with the evolving cards is in round 1, they're really not worth committing. It's not enough, and KingChezz either has to high roll here, and he doesn't. He takes the pass. Roderick was too risky to potentially draw cards that he simply didn't want. So there was a risk there of that not working. As a result, really nice for Magpie. He's now gained round control. He has a more developed graveyard as well. And while the hand for Chez does look really nice, there is a serious risk because the Bomb Heaver instantly answers this Masquerade Ball that the poison doesn't go through. We are, however, yet to see Iris, yet to see Draco Turtle at all. So he's looking to draw into them because it's literally going to require simple luck here to draw those 2 cards now. He can thin further through with the Scald if he chooses to, but then he risks losing his card advantage. I'm not convinced here that Magpie has a hand that he can push with.
No, hopefully my mic is sorted now. I've
Much
climbed out
better.
my well.
You are back out of the well, my friend. Welcome back.
It's a great round 1 by Magpie. Is it going to be enough, though, to still secure this round 3?
And he takes the straight pass. He knows he's not in a position. This is going to be another tight one. Both players with leader. If you're Magpie, you are praying to see the 3 cards you want. You're looking for that Sigdriffer's Right. You are looking for Iris, and you're looking for Draco Turtle. If you see those 3 cards here as Magpie, you're pretty happy.
The Morkvarg's good. It's an option on his Scald.
Ooh, but the bronze is not amazing here. So he gets rid of the wagon. Oh, no, no, no.
At least it gives his armor some value, but yeah, it's just not what he's looking for. We need to see Iris or...
Oh, how... That is some horrendous draws here, missing both Iris and Draco Turtle, using every single mulligan in every single round here. Now there's a chance...
a stinker. Poor
when
lad.
he plays the Scald, he could still grab one of them, and ideally he's looking for the Draco Turtle when he does, as Iris, very unlikely.
Second Wind could potentially be used on Burner as a way of cycling for his deck. Less than ideal, though certainly not what Magpie wants to do. But,
Definitely not.
it does give him that chance. And if his Draco Turtle is answered early on, he would be able to Sigdrift for it back as well.
Very true. And KingChezz instantly taking the Usurper Emperor here. He no longer has any benefit from Imperial Enforcers because they've all been removed. So there is no reason not to simply slam that down now.
So far, nothing really done by Magpie to suggest to Chez that he doesn't have the Draco Turtle. You'd probably, if you're on the side of Chez, expect the Draco Turtle to come first, but this is a reasonable play by Magpie as well, as the boat builders are going to get some extra value when this Terror of Seas is on the board. And also, it does threaten some of Chez's potential engines, such as the Thirsty Dame that's going to come out from the Masquerade Ball.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing he's going to want to remove if he can. It's going to be problematic, but if he can get rid of it, I think it's now we'll see the Grimace come out and purify that quite quickly. But when he chooses to actually pull the trigger on that will be the question.
And Grimace just doing exactly what I wish a Northern Realms card would do, having that flexibility of purifying his own unit, but then if there was a defender on his opponent's side of the board, he could commit a Sigdrift as right and have an extra Purify. He's not going to need another Purify on his opponent's side of the board, but certainly Grimace will get an option of the second Purify, which could be very handy for dealing with this poison in the hand of Chez.
Now it depends which way do you go with this. Do you drop the Grimace first, or do you actually Sigdrift as right the defender out here? No, he second wins the defender out here, and then plays the boat builders to boost that. That's interesting. And the Emperor has gone.
Interesting play. So accepting his fate in many ways that he's not going to have his Draco Turtle and Iris combo, and that has got to hurt for Magpie. He's cutting his losses, decides not to go for that burner on the second win like we thought he might, but just accepting that actually his luck's been this bad that he's probably still not going to draw the cards he's looking for anyway.
Yeah, it's not looking very healthy for him. And now the Observer is showing that there isn't a defender status, but the defender status is on this Covenant of Steel. It just hasn't turned up. So this is about to get consumed here. Instant response, and you'd half expect to see that come straight back out again.
Yeah, it could be an option. He could also lead with the Grimace first, because then he's going to get the second prop off of his Grimace when he does use his Sigdrift.
And that is exactly the line he takes. Makes sense. Now it ends up being the target that gets poisoned itself. You'd imagine that Grimace.
Yeah, and Scald is going to recycle and draw a new card for him, but he needs both Morkvarg and Draco Turtle to get that combination off. Just one of them is not going to do much on their own, unfortunately for him.
No, sadly not, especially in the situation that he's in now. There's no real armour value for Iris to gain, but there's also no way of removing that armour now. Doesn't run the priests.
And the decision to take out the Usurper is just trying to block that value off of the second of the. I can't think what it's called.
The strategic withdrawal, and again he plays the Scald and still manages to miss the gold cards.
I think honestly the boat builder's pretty good for him here compared to the Draco Turtle would have played for 5 points. At least the boat builders is actually playing for a decent amount. It's going to give 4 armor in total to the Terror of the Sea. So it's actually playing for 9 points.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
Even though you'd think you'd want those gold cards, I think it was actually his best hit there. Apart from perhaps maybe if Freya could have played for a few more points, but I think that might have been his best option in the end. Or a Wagon could have been decent.
Wagon
I think
wouldn't have been
that probably
terrible
plays for his
either.
most points.
Yeah, it might actually be. He maybe the first bit of luck that he's had with his draws the entire time. I'm a little surprised that he didn't decide to go down the route of the burner, if I'm honest, from his second wind. But he's obviously decided that luck is not with him. He wouldn't have time to or get the value of setting those engines up now.
And a good point has been made to me. Terra has used its order, so actually this boat boat builders is not playing for as many points
it
as I
doesn't
thought.
re-engage,
It is
unfortunately.
a one-time. Obviously, not a card I see every day. So
No, we don't see Terror of the Seas too frequently. It is order, and it can't be recharged, unfortunately. I mean, so you're in a situation now. Are you Sigdrifting to cover? No, he's not. They're not concerned at all here. Not overly worried about the fact that the Gremist is poison fodder. Going through, he's aware that the only possible poison left in deck is the Cupbearer. So there's a risk there that Cupbearer could be in hand. More likely that Masquerade Ball will drop. Does have the answer to the ball here, but with Leader still available, and worst case, you strategic withdrawal your Vincent and you take out another 7-point card here. It's really not terrible. You'd say Chez is looking heavily favoured. And the Roderick, what's the Roderick finding here? He's going to try and get Ramon from the Roderick, you would imagine, for the crossbowman.
And I wonder as well if this second wind nerf has just really harmed Magpie's deck here. Obviously, the second wind nerf aimed at dealing with those great swords decks, but you can see the knock-on effect it's had, losing a lot of provisions in his list, and it might harm the consistency. I'm not sure if he would fit a Royal Decreeing or something of that nature to make his deck more consistent, but he's got to feel really bad here, Magpie, that he's just managed to miss both of his key combo cards, but you know, he missed his Sigdrifter's Right, which he was really looking for in that round one as well.
What do you need?
Yeah, that's really brutal for him in that situation there. Not ideal, and he does summon the defender back again. Now, not the Ramon line that he's going with. Looks like he's going to be going for Yen or potentially Bribery then, as he no longer has a target for Ramon. We're going to see the Masquerade Ball come down first, and the instantaneous catch in response. Unless he uses it straight away, which he should really. And as a result, there goes the defender. That's the beauty of having that leader ability. He's going to get the proc from the poison. The poison has removed the defender and taken away the Gremist. And that will be GG for KingChezz, it seems. There aren't enough points to catch up at all in Magpie's hand. He, of course, does take the catch, though, because that's the right thing to do.
And KingChezz showing the
Oh, he's going to Bribery.
adaptability of his leader ability there, really flexible. And even, I wonder if Magpie found that Draco Turtle, if Chez might have still just taken that regardless.
And he takes the boat builders, of course, has to be sure.
Decides not to BM with the Doggo. It could have been something that we saw. I think it would have been fine, but
the fact that he has the boat builders as well, sat on the board there, is really nice. Everything has fallen pretty well into hand, and KingChezz, with the impressive to finish, takes the game 2-1 against Magpie.
GG.
GG
He couldn't resist, could he,
indeed.
Chezzy? Couldn't resist.
Of course not. Of course not. So GG there to KingChezz. That is a 2-1 victory. That was very nice. We'll update that now. The score is updated. And that is the end of that section. Going into dual chat. Speci, for some reason I can't see your camera, bud.
Let me try and fix that.
There you are. You're in now. I got you.
Bang.
And so we are here. That was one hell of a game. Talk me through your favourite parts.
I mean, obviously, game one, incredibly exciting, coming down to that 2-point finish, I think it was, off the Igni. Really, really enjoyed that, but let's be honest, mate, that game two was something else.
It was so good, wasn't it? What a final swing. I know he ends up losing the game, but wow, maybe play of the tournament there from Magpie with that final swing.
Yeah, just showing the value of that double last say as well, having the option to commit that Fergus and then guaranteed Joachim. Again, showing the advantage maybe of taking that tactics heavy list with a few spies in, almost guaranteeing him pulling all his gold cards. That Joachim, he knew exactly what he was hitting. If you're Chez, you're probably thinking you might have just been high rolled, but actually it was well planned out by Magpie.
Definitely. He got the cards in hand, and you can see he had that card in hand pretty much from the beginning of the game. Anybody gaining last say in that mirror, the risk at the beginning of that hand was that neither of them ended up drawing the Usurper. In the end, they both did, but that just benefited big time for Magpie. A 50, I think 54, 55 point swing in that final play was stunning to watch.
And Magpie has also just posted in the main event Discord that he is dropping out of the tournament. That is enough from him. Not happy with his turtle draws.
You can feel the suffering there. That is difficult for him, for sure. And we now have only 3 players left with a perfect record. Sumo, Gravesh and Movius, as Andy did lose his game. So you can see those guys are pretty much guaranteed. I would say the top 12 is pretty set now, with Sumo, Gravesh, Movius, Andy, Dark Phoenix, Energix doing well, my man, Eluxa, Shaggy up there, Sloth, I think BACR7, is that Bart? And then you've got Paranoid and Mayamon, all with 4-1 records. So there are only a few spots left with only a couple of rounds to go. A lot of players have dropped out at this point. Chezzy just about still in there as well after that win. It will take him 3-2 up, so he should shoot up the rankings very nicely. It's going to be interesting to see the rest of this tournament and where it goes.
Yeah, for sure. Going to be certainly watching on with beady eyes to see how the final sort of last few games go in this Swiss, and of course tomorrow with the top players battling it out in best of fives, getting access to their 4th decks, and still expecting to see those Skellige decks getting banned. We didn't expect to see much Skellige, but that Magpie deck just not drawing correctly for him in the end.
Yeah, and a lot of the problem with that list is it plays into a lot of the strengths of other lists. Even when it comes off, we saw the Igni being enough on its own to counter that, and it guaranteed the Igni was enabled. No matter what there, it was really unfortunate for Magpie that he couldn't get a win with that. I believe he may have got a win elsewhere during the tournament with that list, but Chezzy playing around it very, very nicely there, very successful. And there are a couple of rounds left today overall. A lot of players have dropped out. There's a good chance that we will be back tomorrow. I certainly hope so. We're going to get the information on what games are going to be happening and who's going to be casting them when. As soon as we know, it'll definitely be on my Twitter, especially I'm guessing it's going to be on yours too.
Man. Trust. Yeah.
So, and Discords,
Fingers
check those.
crossed.
It'll be everywhere. Anywhere that there is Gwent news, you will find out where we are, and we're going to be back tomorrow. We should definitely be your choice of watching games, no question.
Yeah, man, it's been good fun. So really enjoyed casting. One of my first experiences doing it. Obviously, a bit awkward at the start with a few of the technical hitches. I'm still salty I've not been able to get into the Observer, but you've done a great job, obviously maintaining that and catching my little hints of looking at graveyards and stuff. So thank you so much, man, for
It's been an
obviously
absolute pleasure.
taking the burden of the Observer on and all the OBS stuff.
No, it's been really good, man. And as I say, we had a few technical difficulties at the beginning. We are doing this live. It's the first time that most of us have ever got our hands on this. And yeah, thanks for sticking with us, guys. It's been really good. Spessy, it's been awesome working with you today, man. Looking forward to tomorrow already. I'm not going to lie. I am buzzing for tomorrow. And the only decision left is which of the casts are we going to send these wonderful people onto?
That is a good question, mate. The power is in your hands. I'll let you decide that one.
Let's see. So who is casting for Game 6? I'm pretty sure Shin and Apero are, but let me check and I will see who else is. I know some of the Americans have started their section of casting now that they are up and awake. So let's see. Who have we got? Let's just make sure, Max, you can correct me if I'm wrong. So Shin is live, I'm hearing people say. So I think we're going to send you over to Shin Miri. Should be joined by the wonderful Apero, and I believe, may be wrong, but I think it might be Apero's birthday. So go and send some love there, guys. I'm going to literally start the raid now, but I am going to put you on to the trailer one more time as we say goodbye, just simply because I love how high quality this trailer is. So again, thanks for joining me, Spessy. It's been quality, and I can't wait for tomorrow.
Yeah, top man. Hopefully see you guys tomorrow as well.
Oh, they definitely will. So we're going to start the raid to Shin Miri. Make sure you click on it, guys, as it gives you wonderful people channel points that I'm not going to let you use in my channel. Until next time, guys, here comes the trailer. Catch you later.
My introduction to Gwent was through The Witcher 3.
Found Gwent through Witcher 3.
Actually ignoring all the side quests, all the main quests, playing Gwent, trying to collect all the cards.
I mean, I love the Witcher universe.
I started playing more Gwent than Witcher 3.
That was within a big RPG, so a game within a game, and make it a game itself.
I heard the news about closed beta Gwent. I immediately registered, almost made it actually to the first open. I was really close.
Back then, Syndicate wasn't a thing. I mean, Nilfgaard wasn't even a thing, you know?
Did not know what we were getting into.
Factions were so different and the game was a lot of fun.
Like, this is the card game I need to play. This game looks amazing.
The thing I love about Gwent the most is deck building.
My favourite deck of all time would have to be Consume.
Not Consume, although it's close.
Beta Consume before it became, very degenerate with playing as many necks.